I've been thinking, which is something I do occasionally, about travel with our Class B RV. More specifically, I'm thinking about the original cost of the RV compared to not having it and just traveling by car. I was wondering, would we have saved money never buying the RV?
Spoilers.
How do we compare travel in a car versus travel in a Class B? Well, the simplest way is to look at the costs over time, but to do this, we have to make some assumptions. First, let's assume you and your family of 3 take a 3-week trip every year. Let's also assume you want to see the USA and do longer round trips like the one I'm showing here. That's about 4,000 miles. We have to average gas prices in miles per gallon, so I'm setting that at $4 per gallon and an average distance of about 25 miles per gallon. I'm also adding a depreciation figure of 50 cents a mile. I mean, all that driving is going to add some wear and tear to your car, so I think that's something we should take into consideration, don't you? Then, of course, we have to add hotel stays and food since you're traveling by car and won't have a kitchen and a fridge as you would with an RV. You may think these figures are high depending on your style of travel, but I'm assuming a worst-case scenario. Now, the last thing I want to add is how much the Class B cost. So I'm using 150 grand for that. It's a Class B, so costs are rather high. Of course, if you have a big Class A, it might be even more than that, but Class Cs and travel trailers could be much less. As I said, your figures may be different, but it gets the general idea across. So let's see how this affects trip costs. In this table, you can see our fuel calculates to $640, while the car depreciation is $2,000. Hotels and food are over 3 grand each, which gives us a total of just under 9 grand for one trip. What does this mean? Well, if you divide this figure by the original RV cost, you could take 17 21-day vacations for the price of that one RV. That's right. If you take one 3-week vacation per year, you travel 17 years before equaling the cost of that RV. And of course, the RV has its own depreciation and gas costs, which I'm not even adding to this chart. You can get a Class B for quite a bit less, either a cheaper build or maybe buying used. So let's say you only spend 100 grand instead of 150 grand. This means you can only take 11 21-day vacations since you didn't spend as much on that RV, but that is still 11 years of 3-week travel. If I lower some of these expenses, cheaper hotels, less expensive restaurants, we can increase that to 15 trips since the cost of each trip is less. And if I remove the depreciation value, you're up to 22 3-week trips. Kind of makes you wonder why anyone would buy an RV in the first place, doesn't it? Well, there are some things we aren't thinking about here. First off, if you get Class B RVs, you're probably interested in travel, and by travel, I mean a lot of travel. So 21 days isn't really a good figure. So let's change that to 90 days. They are longer in duration, of course, but you're down to only 6 trips compared to the cost of the RV, and that's using the lower car trip cost figures too. Then there are all the intangibles that the RV offers, things like 90 days in a cramped car would probably be a little much for anyone, much less 3 people. Yeah, you're in hotels at night, but a lot of the time you're driving from one point to another in cramped quarters. You get to take your pet with you and not have to pay an extra pet fee at a hotel. We've spent $30 a night at some places, and that adds up. You always have a place to sleep, so no need to rush to a specific location just to go to bed. Which also means you can pretty much leave at a moment's notice. You love facts and enthusiasm. Where we go? So no need to find a restaurant, especially if you're in the middle of nowhere. What? Now for me, this one's important. Having a bathroom wherever you need it. I am of an age. But I think the most important advantage is having a community of other RV friends and owners. This is, in my opinion, the greatest advantage of having an RV. I can't tell you how blessed I felt during the recent worldwide health issues, having friends around the country with common interests online to help me through some of the tougher times. That alone was enough to say the RV was worth the cost. Sure, there are other considerations. With an RV, you use more fuel, insurance is more than a car, taxes are more. You'll have to deal with long-term issues like replacing the fridge or fixing water leaks, and you may have other expenses like having to store and winterize your RV as the temperatures drop. But for us at least, the benefits outweigh any disadvantage you may have owning an RV. It truly gives us more freedom than car travel ever did. You may have different costs that you need to deal with, or maybe you spent less on that RV than the examples I gave. I've included a file on my website, linked below, if you want to try out your own calculations. Regardless, I hope this short video helps you decide on the best options for your needs, whether that means getting an RV or not. Be seeing you.